Speaker Boehner speaks later this morning after the historic upset in a Virginia congressional primary. They're still analyzing how an unknown college professor of economics beat a 7-term incumbent, a House Majority Leader in Eric Cantor. Listen to a few of the voters in Cantor's home district, 7th.
Cantor he was pretty well liked, but apparently not well enough.
It's all of them. They're fed up. We're tired of having these guys not listen to us. So it's a real pleasure to see a guy finally get the message.
Victory for Brat in some ways wasn't a surprise. The extent of the victory, I think, was a surprise.
We're tired of Eric Cantor. They were tired of the things that he was doing.
Sometimes being in the national spotlight, you leave the young folks behind.
Well, Larry Sabato is director of the Center for Politics, University of Virginia. Larry, we've been trying to reach you for 36 hours. Thanks for popping your head up. Mark Meckler is the founder of Citizens for Self-Governance and also has connections with the Tea Party. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. Quickly, in 3 minutes, I want to go through 3 quick points. I want you both to react to the following. First of all, Larry, the Tea Party, some wins so far in the primary season and some terrible losses. People are talking about the resurgence of the Tea Party. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're suggesting that's the case with in Virginia. Just let me get to the question here. No national Tea Party groups got behind Brat. So what does that tell us? Where does that leave us on the issue of the Tea Party? Go.
Well, look, this is a patchwork of local contests. That's what a midterm election is. So it's hard to reach a firm conclusion about what's going on around the country. The fact that they didn't get behind Brat, I would think, has more to do with the fact that literally nobody outside of that Brat camp thought Brat was going to beat Cantor. And, you know, I don't care what people say now. I get emails from people saying, hey, I told my cat 2 days before the election. No, I don't care what you told your cat. You did not know that Dave Brat was going to beat Eric Cantor. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know what it tells you about the Tea Party. I sure know what it tells you about senior incumbents. They'd better stay close to their home folks. Every Richmonder I've talked to, and I was with a bunch of them last night, said to me, we wanted to send a message to Eric Cantor, and it turned out to be a louder message than even they had imagined.
Well, Mark, how do you answer the issue of the Tea Party?
Well, I think it paints the Tea Party as exactly what it is. Look, it's been misrepresented as something national. The national groups don't represent the Tea Party movement. The Tea Party movement is a local movement. It represents itself best. It flexes its muscle best in local contests like this. I think that's where you see it play its ground game, and that's where it's going to have its effect. But it doesn't come from national spokespeople or national money pouring into these races.
Okay, interesting point there. Point number 2, immigration. So many in the media mention it. I've yet to see evidence that it's true. Larry, in this race, was it or not the case?
I think it was part of it. Certainly the rallies that Brat had, some of the speakers focused on immigration, and I think some of the anti-immigration activists voted for Brat and worked for Brat. But again, I've got to tell you, now having had a chance to talk to dozens of Richmonders who actually voted in that primary, and all the emails and tweets and so on that I've gotten, rarely, if ever, is immigration mentioned. This is mainly a power thing. They feel their congressman had abandoned them, had become international and national, and they were just an appendage, and they wanted to remind the congressman and the country who controls the power. The people control the power.
Very interesting. Mark, how would you answer that in immigration?
You know, I would agree with Larry. I think it was an issue. I think there were people who voted on that issue, but I think the real issue was a congressman that was out of touch with his constituency. This was a case of the people versus the ruling elite, and as it should be, the people prevailed.
Oh. Third point, this race was local. What do they say? All politics are local. We went back to several websites for Eric Cantor, and at least online, gentlemen, we could not find a single campaign event other than the Memorial Day weekend parade in his home district. There were no town halls, no come and ask Eric stuff. And Larry, so I think that goes to your point, whether or not you have a position of power in Washington or not, you still have to stay in touch with the folks. Now, if that evidence continues and plays out, I mean, you know, where were you holding these events, trying to keep your seat back home? Go ahead.
Well, basically, he thought he had it wrapped up. They all did. And they had these phony polls showing him 20, 30, 40 points ahead. I guess they believe their own propaganda. I've heard for years that Eric Cantor had become hermetically sealed by security people, a Praetorian Guard, his staff, his consultants. It really was quite difficult to get through to him, especially if you were local. He's supposed to be your congressman. That comes first. All of the other adornments, like, you know, the titles, majority leader, traveling all around the world representing the country, that is supposed to tie into your local representation.
Yeah.
And he forgot that, and he paid a very high price for
He
it.
spent a lot of money on ads, et cetera, but I mean, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Flickr, we could not find it. Mark, quick final word on that. I got to run.
Look, he had his eye on the speakership. That's what he wanted to be, as the next speaker, and he forgot to be speaking with the people in his district. He paid the price for it. He deserved to pay the price, and all leadership is now looking over their shoulders.
All right, Larry Sabato, thank you for your time for the Tea Party Patriots. That's Mark Meckler as well. Thank you, gentlemen, both.
Thank you.
21 past. Patty Ann.
Thanks.